All right, we're going to get started with Jake Bauers, Brandon Lockridge. First question for these guys. We'll start with Adam, third row on the left.
For both guys, what's it like to be on the bench for a playoff game and then kind of wait your chance to start? How are the nerves in those situations?
Go for it.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing is trying to be engaged early in the game. And then, as the game gets later and later, you saw it throughout the regular season, like that pinch hit's coming at some point. So I think by like the fourth or fifth inning, I'm probably sitting down on the bench by myself, trying to stay locked in, but at the same time, trying to be as excited as possible and cheering on the guys. So it's definitely a fine line, but excited to get out there tonight for sure.
Yeah, I think most of my big league experience has been a bench role like this so far. So obviously right now it's a little bit different situation. Leverage situations happen sooner in the game now. So, they've done a good job of communicating, telling me to be ready early on. So, I'm as mentally exhausted with these games so far as I am, if I played a game during the regular season. So it's definitely just a different, you're getting locked in at a different time now as opposed to regular season, but this is, I'm excited for the opportunity to start tonight.
Kurt, second row on the left.
So if you are starting tonight, how does that change the nerves or the role or anything like that?
Yeah, I got the lineup last night. Normally, you wake up when you're playing off the bench. You wake up and the nerves kind of settle in, but they settled in a little sooner last night when I found out I was starting. So.
JR, second row in the middle.
Jake, you kind of said earlier this year that the home run you hit in Game 3 last year, you felt like could be a springboard toward, just an improved new season. And I wonder how you feel this playoffs relative to last one now that you have that on your resume, if it has changed you as a hitter and if you feel differently going into the playoffs this time around.
Yeah, I definitely feel a little different. I think last year there was a lot of doubt if, you could come through on a big stage, and then you do. And so you turn that doubt into nerves, yeah, but also excitement, looking forward to the opportunity, and it becomes less what if it doesn't happen and more how can I help and what if it does happen. So I think that's kind of the switch for me throughout the entire season. And then so when you get into the postseason, obviously it's heightened, but it's essentially the same thing.
A few more for these guys. Go back to Kurt.
Brandon, Murph calls you Breckenridge. Have you been to Breckenridge, Colorado?
I have actually. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I'm assuming the ridge at the end might have been the first thing that came to his mind at the time. But when he says it, I look now, so that's good.
Go to the second row on the right side here.
Each game they've scored, you guys have come right back and scored yourselves. It's one thing to do that in the regular season. What has allowed the team to just continue to have that mindset to bounce back right away for either of you?
I think 162 games of that being the mentality. I think the way we played in the regular season was a good chance to put that into practice and to really solidify that that's going to be our identity, and we're going to grind out at bats regardless of what the score is. And so when you have 6-7 months of that being the standard, nothing changes when the calendar flips to October.
We have a couple on the right side here. Second row and then the third row.
Hi, to both of you. Are you actively looking at what's going on the other series, to see potential rivals? And if you do, which player do you think is the one that is making the most noise the most noise in this October?
I definitely been watching the other games. I love watching good baseball games. So being that I was with the Yankees, I came up with them. I've know quite a few of those guys over there, so I've been watching that game. I've obviously seen the impact Vlad's made on the Blue Jays as well. So I would definitely say he's had a pretty impressive postseason.
Yeah. No, the games are always on in the clubhouse, so definitely watching. my wife is a baseball fan, so I get home from our games. She's got the games on the TV, so we end up watching the rest of them. And yeah, I mean, like Locke said, what Vlad's doing right now has been it's been fun to watch.
Stay in the second row on the right.
Jake, you had a really strong finish to the regular season, and you made a lot more contact, especially in that last month of September. Does something like that influence how you feel going into the playoffs or what you think you're capable of, or is it good or bad, you just kind of go clean slate once you get to this point?
No, I mean, I think having a little bit of a stretch there where I was playing well consistently definitely helps the mindset going in. I hear Murph talk a lot about meeting the game halfway, and I think that's something that I really started to recognize when I came back off the IL. And instead of trying to drive every pitch that I saw, it was more, what can I do with this pitch that I have now, and how can I win the at-bat? And so I've just kind of taken that mentality and tried to put it into practice a little bit more, and seen some good results off of it, so I don't think anything changes.
Todd on the left side.
Brandon, Kurt asked you about the Breckenridge thing. What have your thoughts been on Murph in the short time you've been exposed to him and playing for him and his personality and everything?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I have to feel like he's a great leader in the clubhouse. He makes you kind of feel at ease. Obviously, he's got a strong personality, and at first it was a little bit intimidating. But once you realize and you play for him for a few games, you realize that he truly wants every player to get the most out of themselves, and he's huge on the culture and everybody playing together, pulling for the same thing. And I think you kind of see that every time we take the field. There's a common goal that if you're 0 for 4 or 4 for 4, the whole team's excited for every single person that pulls through. And I just think that's a reflection of what Murph brings to the table, and he's a super easy guy to play for. You really want to, get back to the dugout and get that high five from him, and feel like he's proud of you. So,
Any last ones for these guys? All right. Good luck today. We'll see you post game.
All right.
What do we got?
All right. We'll get started with Murph. First question. Start with Kurt. 4 rows back on the left.
Murph, could you give us the reasoning, the thinking behind going Lockridge and Bauers in those 2 spots?
Yeah, this is, I put a lot of time into it, got a lot of research into it, but both of those guys are playing great. Lockridge deserves a chance, and it gives us some flexibility in the middle of the game. You don't feel like the starter's going to go that far. We still have weapons in the middle of the game and guys we want to end the game. So it's just a little bit of a, instead of starting, we're maybe using our more reserves first. Okay. Yes.
Todd.
I see Jackson's in the lineup. Is he shown improvement since yesterday? What's he saying today about how he feels?
Well, obviously he didn't do much yesterday, but I think he feels as good as he felt the day before yesterday.
Adam, right in the front, second row.
Murph, just to follow up on the first part, Perk is
100%. 100%.
that's just flexibility to deploy him wherever you want. And is it partially in case Jackson has to come out again that you have Perk?
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that we will use a replacement if we're in a position to. You kind of can't plan on that, but they're a little bit interchangeable. The way Tyon has thrown lately, his sequencing and that type of stuff, we're probably going to see him twice around. And then we're going to see other people, and it kind of dictates how they use the other people. And, yeah, it's just kind of all hands on deck right now.
A few more for Murph. Come over here on the right.
Hello.
Hi.
We know the series still has one more win for you guys to go through the championship series, but are you looking at all at the next opponent?
We're not looking at the next opponent. We know how good the Cubs are, and we respect them. And we know how tough it is to win when teams have their back to the wall. So we're taking today like the only game we have, and, we're going after it.
We'll stay on the right side. We'll go back to the fourth row.
Murph, they say the final out's always the hardest out. Final win in a series is probably the hardest win as well. Why is that?
The final out,
The final out of a game is always the toughest out. Is it the same thing for the final win of a series? Is it the hardest one to get?
I mean, yes, and because nothing matters until you get it. You know what I mean? So there's no other win that matters until you get it. And when the other team is playing to hang on, it's it makes it difficult. You really have to rise above all the emotion and rise above all the tension and pressure in the game, and still be able to perform right to the very end. And our sport, baseball, where how the ball bounces can dictate a win or a loss, it makes it very, it's the reason you play more than one game, winner take all.
Stay here on the right side.
Hi again. How do you deal with your young players to deal with the pressure of this scenario? Obviously, you guys ended up with the best record in baseball, but for some of your players, it's the first time they're in these stances,
Yeah. I think the best way that I can describe it, when you're doing it with a group and you're close to that group, it's easier to do it. If we're all walking together arm in arm, it's easier to face those type of pressures together and then be responsible to each other. Yes?
You mentioned earlier about
Hold on. We'll get your microphone. Yep.
You had mentioned earlier about how, like, Taillon might go, you might see him a second time, kind of reacting to what they do. Where you're up 2-0 in a series, are there things that you can do to force the Cubs to do things? Are there moves you can make to where instead of being defensively, you're the aggressor forcing the action?
Yeah, I mean, I think you try to do that, you know what I mean? I don't think the gamesmanship is that big of a deal in a game when you know each other that well, We know things about the Cubs that the general public, even people like yourselves that follow it closely, aren't going to see in the game. And we study those things and we process those things and we say, if this, then that. There's no real way to get it right, so to speak. I can think back to the first two games and things we did, and you're like, good thing it worked out, because that wasn't conventional, that type of thing. So you got to be willing to risk and be offensive, and at the same time not set yourself up to get caught.
Come back over here on the right side, third row.
Murph, you watched Quinn start against these guys early in the year when he was probably at his lowest point, and since then he's made a lot of changes, worked a lot of things out in season. Can you just speak a little bit to how you think he matches up against these guys now and how he's a different matchup for these guys now, maybe compared to early in the year?
Yeah, he was very uncertain of himself early, and he was trying to find a home in the big leagues. And his first couple starts were kind of, maybe, And I think in that first start against the Cubs, he got beat up pretty good. But I think we learned a lot about him. And then as the season went on, he just kept getting better and better. And I think now he's at a better spot. They know him very well. It's not a matter of matchups. I mean, the Cubs have beaten all the great pitchers in the game. They got a great experienced lineup, 1 through 9. And, we're just trying to control them best we can.
A follow-up off that, if I may. Do you think that with what he's learned about himself this year, that he's in a better spot to adapt against these guys to how they might be trying to go after him?
Yeah, I think coupled with William and their plan going in, and what they've done previously and how that all works, again, it comes down to executing pitches. That's what it comes down to.
Go to Kurt on the far left, fourth row.
What are you seeing in Joey's at-bats this postseason, specifically with the ability to kind of work the count and the plate discipline?
Yeah, interesting. First two games, and again, 2 games don't indicate what a guy is necessarily, but Joey has stepped up in those games and had an approach that I haven't seen in the past as definitively. He's had one at bat that I'd be totally disappointed in. One at bat in game one. Other than that, he's done a really nice job of helping him and allowed us to keep him in the game. You know. Follow-up question.
Go ahead, Kurt.
If you may,
If I may.
Go one seat back if you're going to do that. It's like Mother May I. May I take one step forward? May I take? No, you may not. You may take one step backwards.
Do you think that's a product of it being the postseason and more focus, or what do you attribute to like just a noticeable change, I guess, in the approach?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Joey's at a point where he wants to play and he realizes he's good. And I can do this. I got to stick to it. So I think he's got a good approach right now and he has to stick to it.
Come over here to the third row in the middle.
Murph, you talked about Lockridge deserving a chance. Just what have you noticed about him, since he's came into the organization the last couple of months?
Well, he was great for us. Sending him to AAA crushed me. You know what I mean? It really did, because he was great for us, and he helped us win games. But we wanted to see Perk get on track. Then Lockridge goes to AAA and just absolutely look at those numbers in the last month. It's undeniable. Some numbers you can't really count on because what's the mental state of the player or what's going on in the player's life, injury, whatever. And just to see that kid and then coming here for the 5 days and performing the way he has and in inter squads and things like that. I mean, yeah.
Come back to the right side.
Do you have anything to say to Cubs fans that call American Family Field Wrigley North?
Do I have anything to say? No, I mean, fans are fanatics, you know what I mean? They love their team, and I respect fans that love their team. I grew up loving, a sports team, and, you couldn't get me off it, you know what I mean? And it became emotional, So I get it. They can call it whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. If you were at the 2 previous games, you knew that the Brewers fans are well represented.
Any last ones for Murph? All right, Pat, thanks. We'll see you post-game.
That's it.